I'm a guy that's 24. Each day I build some more. I like the sequels. I'm Rich Boy J. Hello boyos, Rich Boy J here back in with another video, and this is going to be episode number 19 of the Starkiller based mock build series. This week was an interesting one. I think that there wasn't a ton of progress that got done, but definitely some key things. The first being, like we can tell right over here with that little protrusion sticking out of the stage. It's a detail that I omitted initially, but we finally got that sorted out and taken care of, and you'll see how much of a difference it makes for the stage on the mock. But before we get into that, I do want to give a very special thanks to those of you who donated on the live stream last week. So special thanks to perfectly legitimate name, Spinjitzu Brick Productions, Matthew T, Lego Lists, Chris Blank Productions, and Dan6151. It means the world to me that you guys are willing to contribute to the mock like that. So thank you. And for all of you who haven't been tuning into the live streams, I certainly urge you to do so. It is a great way for you to not only see the mock early, but to also just hang out with some boyos, talk Star Wars. What more could you want than that? But like I was saying earlier, the two main things that I worked on was the stage area right here, as well as the turret. And the turret, I would say, it has some pretty significant progress done on it. It's actually almost done. So without further ado, let's go ahead and take you guys into the progress this week. I meant to do this last week, but unfortunately it slipped my mind. So right off the top, I want to give a very special thanks to Lego Soldier 82. He has been easily the single biggest contributor since my channel, since he has been a fan, and he actually sent me over this bag of figures for Starkiller. As you guys know, I'm going to need a lot of figures to fill out these spaces. This isn't all the figures I have, but it's probably most of them, and I'm still going to need quite a few more first order troops to fill out the actual landing platform, and this is definitely going to be a step in the right direction. So Lego Soldier 82, thank you so much, man. We got a variety of first order boys in here, got some standard troops, flame troopers, the officers with the dark blue outfits, and even some Praetorian guards. I've been kind of thinking like whether or not I actually want to incorporate those guys into this mock. I feel because they look so cool, it might be a nice thing to put them somewhere in here, even though we don't actually see them in the film on Starkiller base. Why not have at least a few of them there? It'd be kind of a cool addition. But yeah, thank you, Lego Soldier 82, and that's going to go a really long way into helping fill out a lot of this platform. And this is our newly revamped stage area. So you guys remember from last week, I basically spent a lot of time tearing down this entire section, really just to accommodate this, and as well as on the other side, the same thing that was going to be added to it. And I think it makes such a big difference. The biggest challenge, honestly, with this was just making sure everything lined up correctly. Like, especially since I was doing it on both sides, when you start building big like this, it's not exactly the most convenient thing to just kind of eyeball it and say like, oh, that's like such and such bricks high, because you're dealing with so many bricks. So it was super important to make sure that this side was leveled with that side, and then that this entire side was leveled with the side on the other side of the mock. And especially when you're dealing with like table situations like I am, where the middle of the table is dipping in because this middle section is so heavy, things can kind of get out of alignment, and you might think that it looks lined up, but actually if you like push the two things closer together, you can see that it's off by like a plate or so. So it's super important to actually be counting things and measuring things and ensuring that you're going in the right direction. And from what I've seen, I've double, tripled, and quadruple checked, and this actually seems that it's lined up pretty correctly. I think this adds so much to the mock. I mean, I love the angles in this thing. It's very different, whereas a lot of the stage before was pretty square. I like this has a lot of angles to it, similar to how that main area of the stage also looks like. This is very reminiscent of that. So I don't know, it's nice to have some design consistency and also something to just kind of spice up this side of the mock as well as the other side of the mock. I did actually make these sections modular, so it basically splits off. I'm not gonna do it right now because I don't even know if I'd be able to hold this thing with one hand effectively while trying to hold the camera in the other hand. But it splits off right here, and the reason I built it like that was, one, to just make putting it into the mock easier. Like having to like hold this up and like do a brick built connection would have been super difficult. So it was easier to just kind of build them both as separate things and then just, you know, slide it in using Technic axles when I finished it up. But it can come off, and the other reason I would use that is basically just to allow myself the ease of modifying this. Like if I want to add details to it, add snow to it, rather than having to try to like work around this and kind of like dig under there to add parts to it. You can see I actually still need to add tiles beneath there. It's much easier to just be able to pull that off, sit it on a desk, and really get access to whatever side I need access to. I also did want to give you guys just a pulled back view of what the stage is looking like now, so you can see with those two sections on the sides, I think it makes a huge difference. It just looks so much nicer. I feel the walls have a lot more detail in them than they did before, and they just, I don't know, the entire area in itself just looks like it was more well thought out. So I'm super happy about that. One thing I'm not super happy about is on this side, you can see the fact that the table is warping is really, really starting to show on this side with that big gap between it. And I assure you guys, that is the closest I can get those two things to sit together. It's just, I don't know what it is specifically about this side. It might be because the sections are bigger than they are on this side, but basically it just made a big gap down the middle. So I'm really gonna have to figure out something in terms of getting like wooden boards or something. Someone recommended to get a car jack and just push the middle of the table up, which is not a bad idea, but I don't know, would a car jack even go up that high? The table sits like 3 feet off the ground. I don't know, someone who knows a lot about car jacks can let me know about that. But yeah, so it's something I'm gonna have to really deal with and make sure that whenever I finally display this thing that everything is nicely aligned, because I'd hate to have an eyesore like that, especially a crack that's so noticeable, be there and be persistent once the mock actually is completed. One of the things I've been noticing is that the top of the mock, if you look kind of dead on, you can kind of get a peek at the colors behind it, but for the most part, you can't tell. My initial plan was to add a roof to it, but what I'm honestly considering at this point, just to not waste a ton of pieces on that, is to maybe add a bit of a roof coming from each edge, just so it kind of simulates that there's a roof, but leave most of the center of that section empty, just because that would be a lot of parts, a lot of plates to try to cover all that up. So it's something that I'm kind of thinking about. I'm not super pressed on it right now, so it's not like a big issue, but it's something that I've been thinking about. And the more I've been kind of dealing with this mock, the more I've realized it hasn't really stuck out to me. So that's a good sign. There's fewer pieces I have to use there and more pieces I can use elsewhere, because this mock is using so many pieces. But that's really it for the built portion of the mock. I'm actually going to finish off the video by taking you guys into LDD once more to see some more turret progress. So let's go ahead and head out, guys. Alright guys, let's take a look at the turret so far. You can see that I spent a lot of this week just finishing up the front side of it, which is pretty crucial. The fact that all 4 sides of this are not completed is a big burden off of my back, just because finding reference material for this particular object was very difficult. I do want to give very special thanks to the Trending Brick and Gooby for shooting me some pretty good reference photos. Like the Trending Brick especially, he actually went into Star Wars Battlefront and played for a while before he could get on Starkiller. So thank you so much, man, for sending those pictures over. I actually really appreciate that. But this is what the turret's looking like so far, guys. It is actually quite large. I think it's like around 38 studs tall, which is like, I guess, taller than a base plate or like a standard small base plate. But yeah, there was a lot of thought, I feel, that I tried to put into this section right here, just trying to capture a lot of the details. The details are always something you want to strive for with a mock like this, and I really think it ended up working out. One of the downsides is I think my initial plan was to have basically the turrets, so they're actually going to be sticking out from like these sections here, to make those articulated in some way to where they could raise and lower, but it really just kind of ended up being the case that I need to have them stuck in one position, especially since they're going to be so large. I'm honestly not, it's not obvious to me like what type of hinge I'd be able to use that would make them be able to kind of rotate with each other. Also, one of the things I realized in a lot of the photos, the turrets, like the flat sections here, are all parallel with each other, so I've actually been able to achieve that here. And just with the way it's designed, it just would not have been super convenient for me to make them articulated. But it's not a huge deal. I think the angle that they're stuck at is the angle you would see them in the film anyways. Plus, we don't see these turrets moving in the film, so it's not super crucial thing. One thing that is going to be articulated, however, is the actual base, or the turbo laser part of this turret. You can see that I've added turntable here on the bottom of it. So this piece right here is that turntable piece, and it'll be stuck right there on the side. So now all that's really left on the turret is just building up the side sections, which really shouldn't be a huge problem. The nice thing I think I mentioned last time is that they are symmetrical. They're the exact same on both sides. So just gotta build one side up, flip it, we're good to go. There's a few details I have to build on the back here, as well as towards the top of it. So I mean, those will be things to do, but the fact that I have this top section for the most part done, absent the roof of it, as well as the actual cannon parts of the turbo laser, I think is just really nice, and we can really start moving forward with trying to get this thing built in real bricks. I'm really excited to see it built up, and I know a lot of you are as well. So that's pretty much it for the turret part. Let's go ahead and move to the end of the video. So that's going to finish up the video this week, guys. I hope you enjoyed checking out the progress. Definitely let me know in the comment section what you think about the MOC so far. One of the unfortunate things is I don't think there's going to be able to be an update this weekend. I'm taking a little bit of a short trip, so unfortunately won't be able to update you guys on Starkiller. What that means is that hopefully the week after that we'll have an even more significant update, specifically with things like actually starting the rock work above the stage area, actually getting the turrets built in brick form, and perhaps even starting an interior room on the side. So those are three things that I'm really going to hold myself to for the next update, because I probably won't be able to have one for this upcoming weekend. But really, that's all I got for you guys this week. If you like what I do, go ahead and support the video by hitting the like button, support the channel by smashing that subscribe button, and I'll be back again very soon.